Okay, Mary.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us for Gambling Awareness Month. It is March 31st, 2022, and we have just ended March Madness. Part of our gambling part is a lot of different sports teams have been trying to be number one. A lot of gambling has been going on for our football seasons, and we're now going into more of our sporting seasons. So gambling is something that I think all of us are aware of, but we're not really sure how it affects us. So this is some of our advertisement, and I do have an office in West Dundee. We're actually just moving. We're moving in West Dundee. We're in Century Plaza, and we're moving toward the pizza place, Domino's Pizza. So we're actually moving to a little bigger space that's going to be more adaptive to having people come and see us and work with them. We have a couple other offices. We're in St. Charles, Schaumburg, and Roselle. So tonight is our presentation is getting a handle on gambling, and it's problem gambling that really makes me want to come and talk to everyone tonight. So why should we pay attention to gambling in our communities is one of the questions we're going to answer. Another question we're going to answer is, what is a problem gambler or gamer? And what's the difference between recreational gambling or problem gambling? And we do know that gambling can be entertaining. Playing the lotto is always nice. You might have this idea that you pay for $1, you might win millions. It's great to go to a racehorse track and see if your horse comes in. And there's times when those video gaming machines are very entertainment, or maybe the bingo hall that you go to with the ladies once in a while. We're also going to talk about what the prevalence is and our risk factors for a disorder. We're going to talk about where and how we can gamble in the community. And I think right now, most of us are seeing these commercials. You can even gamble at grandma's house, which to me, I'm a grandmother. So I'm like, I don't want you gambling at grandma's house, but you can. If you have a phone, you can gamble. You're in class, you're in school, you can gamble. You're at work, you can gamble. Gambling can be anywhere. It's no longer just confined to a casino or to a racetrack. And we're also going to talk about prevention and what we can do. So we are associates in behavioral health care, and we're better known as ABC. We do our services online presently, and we offer our classes in the evenings and weekends. And our programs are all in English and Spanish. So we work with a variety of different services. We do substance abuse. We do a lot of people that are court ordered to come to treatment. We do some mental health work, people that come in for either evaluations. We have a psychiatrist. He does medication management. We work with domestic violence, and we work with we call them perpetrators. So we are not victim services. There's so many good programs that work with victims. We actually work with the batterer or the perpetrator. We feel this is so important because a person might leave somebody that's abusing them, but the abuser will continue to be an abuser unless they really seek some help for themselves. We also have a really great program called Nurturing Parents. It's a great program. It's actually 13 weeks long, or it could be longer. And what it talks about is how to raise good, healthy youth. And I think it goes, Nurturing Parents is the Illinois protocols that actually is evidence-based. And we have a youth drop-in center in Roselle. So we do quite a few things. One of the things that we're here to talk about tonight, though, is the Illinois Department of Human Services would like to help those people that have a gambling problem. So what you might not know is 1% of all the income from the state for gambling, whether it be casinos, sports betting, video gambling, goes into a fund to help people that actually have a problem with gambling. So if you were to call ABC and you have a problem with gambling, or one of your loved ones has a problem with gambling, we would be able to help you without having to worry about insurance or the cost. Of course, if you could pay for services, most of our gamblers at this point have lost their finances and really aren't able to pay for help when they really need it. So part of our mission too is also in prevention and promoting that awareness of gambling related disorders and places that need help. We do have a couple different places we work with. We have the SHARE program. They actually offer gambling disorders. We also have REN's program in Elgin. They offer gambling disorders. And the three of us are very close and we work very well together. So one of the things that I would actually like to say is, why does it matter to the community of mental health, different authorities in Illinois? Well, to begin with, gambling is becoming bigger and bigger. We're actually going to be putting in 2 new casinos in Illinois, and it's really reached unprecedented levels. One of the gentlemen I work with, he just said that there's going to be a tsunami, as it was described in a newspaper article, a tsunami of the effects of gambling. And it is all over the world. But Illinois, and I think there's a fact later that we're talking about, Illinois has more gaming machines than Nevada. How do you like that? So there's never been so many different ways that we can really gamble legally. And of course, we all remember the times when there was illegal gambling. And there's so much advertising and marketing about gambling that's really right in your living room every night. So our states include gambling started with racehorsing, and then they started with lotteries, then they started with casinos. You know, and since the legal gambling, now you can do it anywhere. Sports betting, you can go to your local restaurant, convenience store, gas stations. It's really never been so easy to place a bet on your phone. If we talk about what is problem gambling, and this is a very old cartoon character. However, it was very something in the, I believe it was the 1800s, this is from, where gambling was actually outlawed. And so some of our talk is how gambling goes in waves. So there'll be gambling will be very available, and then pretty soon it's going to be taken away, and then it's going to come back. So actually gambling goes in waves. So a person with a problem gambling, to be considered pathological or compulsive, it's a progressive disease that actually is very similar to your smoking cigarettes, whether it be your alcohol use or drug disorder. Shopping can also be a disorder if you're very compulsively shopping. But some of the things that we talk about is the problem gambling, increase in preoccupation with gambling. I have a couple gentlemen that actually do cash advances on their bank account before the automatic deposit hits, because they can't even wait till Friday to get their check. They're already looking for ways on Thursday nights. And that's really where you're thinking about gambling before you even have the money to do it. That you need to bet more money more frequently. Sometimes that penny slot isn't working as well. And pretty soon you're paying the nickel slot and then the quarter slot, and you're up to $1. And then you could bet max. Some of these machines go up to $4. And it has been said that you can actually hit the gambling machine 60 times in a minute. So if we're paying $4 a minute, that's a quite expensive hour. People with gambling disorder are awfully restless when they're not gambling, when they're trying to stop. And one of the big things that we have 2 big things that we call, one's called chasing the losses. If I put $1 in that machine, that's my dollar in there. The idea is that people don't realize that that dollar is gone already as soon as you put it in. So they chase the loss. They'll put in $2 and hopefully they're going to get back $3. Sometimes we don't really chase the losses. The other idea that is in gambling is it's called the gambler's fallacy. That if I play long enough, I'm going to win. And that fallacy is really not something that works. We test that out with a set of dice. If you were to pick a number, let's say their number is going to be, well, all right, let's go red and black. We're going to say that black's going to win, and I roll something and red comes up and red comes up, that there is not an even amount. And so each roll is independent of the other roll, meaning if I rolled red this time, I'm not necessarily going to have black this time. I have a 50% chance it's going to be red each and every time that I roll, no matter how many times I've rolled previously and it was red. Another part of gambling is actually the loss of control. It's when you're actually knowing that you want to stop, but can't. Here's another one of our old pictures. This was New York. He took all the gaming machines and he put them on, and I don't know who the mayor was at the time. LaGuardia Wages Welfare or Warfare on these machines. And he put them all out to sea. So there's 2 types of gamblers. We have recreational gamblers. They go, they have fun. They enjoy it. They don't spend any of their essential money on gambling. And then we have problem gamblers. I think one of the things, and I'm not sure if you could read how these slides go, but it actually goes from left to right. And I do have to put on my glasses so I can read them properly. You know, a recreational or social gambler. If this sounds like you, then you are a social gambler. You're a recreational gambler. You don't have any experience with psychological or financial problems when you're gambling. You don't have any misconceptions. You don't believe that this one is going to be your big win, and that you understand that you're betting against the house. It is truly impossible to make a profit in the long run. These casinos are not here to give you money. They're here to give you entertainment. And a recreational gambler don't hide their gambling from other people. And they're not preoccupied with gambling. They have no difficulty stopping when they want to. And they don't have any financial problems because of their occasional gambling. They don't have the misconceptions that they're going to lose. Sometimes I think what a proper recreational gambler is, if they know that they have $50 they're going to spend gambling, they assume that $50 will be gone at the end of the night, not that they're going to double it. But gambling also it should be fun. We should be able to socialize without any serious expectations of winning money, and to understand when betting against the house, it's impossible to make it in the long run. I think that there don't have any gambling misconceptions is a big one. But then we have those people that have a problem gambler as a person whose gambling has caused significant problems for the person or someone close to him or her, such as the person's family, and has impaired or lost control over their gambling. They're having money problems. They're having emotional problems. When you lose all your money, it's very disheartening. You really have a lot of anxiety, depression, and guilt that you just put that $100 that you needed to buy a pair of shoes for someone into this machine and you got nothing back. You start really having problems with your family and friends because you start isolating, you start getting depressed. If you're still in school, you'd have school problems, work problems, health problems, and definitely legal problems if you're not paying your bills or you're borrowing money or someone else's money. I think the school problems right now is a very big one because a lot of these young people are betting. We actually begin with our younger kids, teaching them about the gaming machines, and our video games are very big. Everybody plays, and they actually have the loot boxes where for an additional fee, you can actually have little extra for your game. And so it is actually teaching our young people that gaming can be fun, but it does reach a point where there's some problems with some of our young people. A lot of the young people that I've worked with, one in particular I can think of, he actually is a football player and he wants to be a sports person when he is finished in college, and he plays and he gambles. And unfortunately, he's having significant problems with gambling, and he's sports betting and he is a football player. And so it makes it very difficult when you're trying to tell your clients that perhaps maybe he has to not watch the games or not participate in the games because he's so highly triggered by wanting to make that bet. So there's a lot of these, a good many of these games that are out there that are marketed to children. There's also online social casinos that pop up in your Facebook feeds. Not all of them are paid for by money, but you can actually earn extra points if you pay for them. You can't really win anything. And Amazon has offered unknown purchases for a fee. I was actually tempted by this, and my family laughed at me. I believe it was $100 box, and it was going to be returns from Amazon. You couldn't see what it was. You were just going to send them $100, and they were going to drop a pallet in your door. And I thought, oh my God, this would be so good. And my family was laughing at me. They're saying, do you really think that pallet's going to have more than $100 worth of merchandise on it? And they were laughing, and I started laughing too. As a gambling treatment professional, yeah, Amazon is not selling pallets of returned purchases or returns for less than they would be able to sell them. Some of the things that we have to look at when a person comes in and we talk about a gambling disorder, we actually look at their preoccupation of the internet gambling or internet games. We also look at their withdrawal. If they start to be irritable or sad, their tolerance, how they have to build up more and more money as far as what they're risking in order to feel that satisfaction. I had a gentleman tell me that he was excluded from the casino, and so his risk behavior was no longer allowed to go to a casino and gamble. So he would dress as a woman and go in the casino, knowing that if he got caught in there, he would be arrested for trespassing. But it gave him such the rush, almost the same rush as gambling. And that goes to tolerance. When you need to have more and more to feel that same rush. You know, withdrawal, your loss of interest in your previous hobbies, maybe just deceived your family members about where the money went to. And it also, you know, has the loss or the jeopardizing of a significant relationship. A lot of our families are spending their savings and their college funds and their 401ks are being cashed out, and the other spouse has no idea. And I think when a person continues any behavior with a knowledge of a psychosocial problem and they continue it without getting help, we both know that's a problem. I think that those gaming machines are a gateway to our problem gambling. I do want to go to some of our statistics. Illinois is now allowing sports betting, and this is really the first time in the past couple of years that we've been allowed to bet on teams from schools from our state. We now basically could bet on our March Madness games, and perhaps maybe we thought Loyola was going to win. You know, it actually is very new that we're allowed to bet on our own children, let's say. And it makes the idea that there's a possibility somebody could go in and say, hey, you know, you Loyola player, you Illinois player, how about if you don't make so many baskets this game and we'll pay you extra? And it really goes to the part of temptation, I guess would be the word I would use. You know, this pandemic has caused many people to stay home and they're looking for some kind of thrill. The casinos were not open. And at one point, people were playing a lot more online. You know, youth are definitely at a higher risk. You know, our data shows that 75% of our students gamble. 75% of our students gamble. That's a pretty big idea. And students, we're talking about high school and college, but also it starts in adolescent. 13% of our adolescents wager money on sports teams, according to a study in 2017. And that was before it was even really legal. Now with college betting, I'm sure it's even higher. And males are far more likely than females to gamble on sports, but females are much more likely to play games of chance like bingo or our video slots. Of course, college students do have some problems, and 6% of our college students have a serious gambling problem, according to the statistics. You know, here's some facts about our gamers. Our average gamer is 33 years old. So when we talk about gamers, or people playing these video games, I'm sure we were all thinking it was 13, 14, 15, but our average age is 33. 54% are male, and they've been playing for about 14 years. So they're pretty good at these playing. Most of them are Caucasian, 67%. And countries with gaming addicts to date, 95 countries have gambling disorders. There's 2.5 billion active gamers worldwide, and the industry is growing. There's an estimate 3% of our gamers are at risk for a gaming addiction. People that continually play a lot, it actually changes your brain chemistry. So there's done a lot of MRIs where people are in the MRI machines and they'll be shown pictures of gaming, whether it be the roulette table, whether it be a slot machine. Different parts of their brain actually lights up very actively. And so I think that really shows that it's a brain disorder, and your brain actually changes, just like it does with alcohol and drugs. Your brain chemistry changes, and that makes you have some different thought proceedings or thought patterns. Frequent gaming can resemble the characteristics of our gaming disorder. So gaming and gambling are pretty much together in there. And so in June of 2018, gaming disorders were included in our DSM. It's the International Classification of Diseases. Prior to that, we called it an impulse disorder. Now it's actually a gambling disorder. So some of our most common types, of course, we have lotteries. we have race horsing, we have raffle tickets, we have bingo. Hey, everybody plays a little bingo once in a while, and everybody has a nice raffle ticket. Don't we all like to win the little basket at some kind of function? There's a lot of personal skills. There's pool games, there's bowling, skeet ball, Mahjong. It's a game that I heard really is very popular here in the Northwest suburbs. You know, we have our casino games, fantasy football, and our dice games. And of course, we have our slot machines. I think gambling is all around. Past the pandemic, one aspect of gambling related industries that appear to be in decline is our racehorsing. The state used to have 3 tracks, and now the last one is closed. And who knows? I think our area of Arlington Heights is going to definitely see a lot more of our sports betting coming up. We have, as far as casinos, we have millions of dollars in taxes are collected from our casinos and have really helped our town budgets. For example, in 1984, we got the Grand Victoria Casino in Elgin, and a lot of money has been spent in Elgin to really beautify the city and put in some new social service projects for many of these programs. But I did want to talk about, and this statistic is from January of 2021 to September 2021. So it's 9 months. And this was something that I did. I was at the West Dundee festival on, I believe it was, I forget what they call their festival. And we had a booth there. And this is some of the things that we provided. And so it was in September. So that's why my statistics actually go right from those 9 months. If we actually just look down at the Grand Victoria Casino, in 9 months, we have actually, people have spent, I should say, their adjusted gross receipts, that's what they've kept, is $105 billion. No, $1 million. I'm sorry, $105 million in 9 months. And there's 10 casinos currently operating in Illinois, and the casinos now are actually hosting the sports betting. So now you don't even have to go in the casino. You can actually just bet from your phone, is anywhere, your computer, anywhere you want to be, even in grandma's house. So the casinos have more terminals than in Nevada. As of April of 2021, there was actually almost 40,000 machines in Illinois. And our net wagering for April, just for the month of April 21, was $240 million from those terminals that were in bars, restaurants, sandwich shops, and parlors all over. Our actual website, the Illinois Gaming Board, has a report, and it comes out every month, and it's required that they actually show this. So for those 9 months, these are some of the figures, and the state did win. Let's say if they won, because people actually had to lose in order for them to win. Those are some very big numbers here. Now, we actually took, this was our booth that we had at our West Dundee days. And I just took the towns local around us. So in our towns, Algonquin, Carpentersville, Crystal Lake, East Dundee, Elgin, Sleepy Hollow, and West Dundee, there's 561 machines. And so when I talk about the funds in the machines, that is how much money actually went into the machines, and they paid out. So I call it the income that the machines made. So the machines made $20 million in 9 months in just our area. And of course, the state made about $6 million of that, and our local towns made about $1 million. So that seems to me to be an awful lot of entertainment money that our residents are currently putting into these machines. And this is just right around here by us. You know, now we have to really understand that sports betting is really starting to get bigger and bigger, and it's really run to specific casinos. And I'm not really sure myself about sports betting. I'm not a big sports fan, but I do know that many, many people are losing in sports betting. In March, when the NCAA held its basketball tournament, there was $635 million in bets were placed. I think the other thing, I'm just going to talk about the popularity of fantasy football. Participation in fantasy football gaming quadrupled from 14 million to 57 million. Those are some people that are actually picking who is going to win these games. And it could be a gambling problem and it could be fun, but that seems like there's a whole lot of people that are playing these gaming situation. We also have the esports gambling. Moving ahead even faster is this esports. It's the marketing is massive and attracts participants that are young and diverse. It puts into perspective, our esports viewership has doubled from 260 million in 2016 to 495 million viewers in 2020. 72% of them are between the ages of 10 and 35. I think the other thing that I really want to talk about is some of the impact that we're having here. And this show will be on, so is being recorded. So I shouldn't go fast through some of my slides because I do want you to be able to come back and really look at this. So $10 million are set aside to treat problem gambling. That is actually a very good idea, that if people are losing their money for gambling and have a gambling disorder, that the state of Illinois will be able to help them. I think fantasy sports and related leagues also have the betting components. Esports, where people compete against each other in video games. It's one of the fastest growing industries, and people are watching. I'm very surprised myself that some of my grandchildren actually watch others play. I'm not sure how that is entertainment, but that's really what they're doing. So to the point, the National Council on Problem Gambling estimates that there's 2 million people here in the United States have a serious gambling disorder. There's 4 to 6 million that have a mild gambling disorder. And so it is a problem for some. It's not a problem for all, and it shouldn't be a problem for all. But some research indicate that our suicide rates are significantly higher among people with gambling disorders. And according to a study by the Swedish released in 2020, a problem gambler is 19 times more likely to take their own life than other people. However, other polls show it's at 19%. So problem gamblers are more likely than the general population to have physical and mental health issues, including substance abuse, anxiety, and depression. I'm just going to go to our Dundee Township here. Our Dundee Township, what I want you to know is that the latest census poll was about 66,000 people. 1% of a population will have a gambling disorder. So therefore, in just our Dundee Township, we have about 660 residents that have a gambling disorder. 70% of those people have an alcohol use disorder also. 56% have a mental health disorder. And unfortunately, 39% have an alcohol and mental health disorder, all in addition to a gambling disorder. And if you have some other problems going on, it actually reinforces that both disorders affect each other. A lot of our gamblers that are in our treatment program actually say that when they're drinking, they seem to gamble more often. And so they just know they have to not drink in order to not go to the casinos. The other thing that we're going to talk about is on Dundee Township, our 660 residents that may have a gambling disorder, they're 6 times more likely to have suicidal thoughts, 15 times more likely to attempt suicide, and 19% of them will consider suicide. Meaning 125 of our residents are seriously thinking about suicide during this time in our township. I have some other local townships. Elgin Township, very much similar. They're a little bigger, so they have over 1,000 residents with a problem gambling, and they have almost 200 residents seriously considering suicide. Hanover Park is very close to us, Hanover Township, with 412 residents with a gambling disorder. 78% of those residents will seriously consider suicide. And McHenry, which is not too far from us, McHenry Township. They have 470 residents with a gambling disorder and about 100 residents will seriously consider suicide. And so I thought I would just look at some of our numbers today. So I took these numbers from January 1st to March 1st of 2022. And these are just our local towns. This is just from video gambling in our area. Again, the Illinois Gaming Board website, you could go onto it. You could see your town. You could see the establishment that has the machine and how many machines they have. It'll be very similar. How much money's gone in, how much money's gone out. And I call it what the machines have made. I think that's important because sometimes if you were to bet $10 and you cash out and you get $9 back, that machine only made $1. And you take that same $9 and you put it in the next machine and then you get back $8, that machine made $2. So when I'm talking about what the machine earns, the money is what is left in the machines. It is not about how much money has been played. And those are some even bigger numbers. So Algonquin has 81 machines. In 58 days, they made $500,000. Carpentersville has 135 machines. They made $1.5 million in 58 days. East Dundee has 89 machines, and they made $1 million in 58 days. And Elgin, with 158 machines, has made $1.5 million. Lake in the Hills has 54 machines. They've made $850 million. And West Dundee has 34 machines. They've made $226,000. I do have to say West Dundee has made a decision that I was told by the city council that they are no longer going to have any approvals for any more machines, that they feel that 34 machines in West Dundee is plenty of machines. And so I think that's a good look on it, that they have decided that we don't need a machine in every single place. But of course, you can just go to Elgin where there's a casino and many other places. So, you know, addiction isn't just related to the money. It isn't just about the money that these people are losing. Of course, money is what's paying for our rent, paying for our gas, paying for our food, putting kids to school. But in addition, addiction is also about the loss of time that we've spent, the loss of relationships, the isolation, the efforts to reduce anxiety, and really it just causes anxiety and depression. It causes guilt and maybe even some grief. You know, the money that goes to the groceries go to gambling, and that money would go to the rent or to the college education. I do believe the impact of the COVID-19 amongst our population is more of our people are already depressed, anxious, isolating, and then to put gambling on top as a recreation that could turn into a disorder is very disheartening. So I'm going to leave this up while I just give you a couple examples. There's two examples I want to talk about. And I want to talk about a place that I went to. It's a liquor store right here in town it's not West Dundee, it's actually Carpentersville, right on 31. And I went in there to buy something and there was two kids sitting at a high top table. I think they were about 6 or 8, right in that area, maybe 5 to 9, but they were two young boys. They were sitting there. Their mother was playing in the video gambling machine. And of course the kids can't go in there, you have to be 21. So this establishment put a nice little table and chairs so that people can wait while others are gambling. I said to the clerk, wow, how long have those kids been sitting there? And the clerk said to me, they were here when I got here to work. And you know, I felt bad and I still feel bad that I didn't say something to that mother. But I realized those kids were sitting very quiet and they probably have been there many times before, maybe not in that spot, but in somewhere waiting for their mother to finish gambling. And unfortunately, they didn't look like they were having a very good time waiting. And when the lady told me they had been sitting there since she got to work, she actually said, do you think that's bad? And I said, well, I think that's bad. And so if it is entertainment, I think we have to entertain the whole family with our recreational money. The other story I wanted to tell is that I actually have a lady that came to me and she told me that she had no idea her husband was a gambler, that she went over to the casino here in Elgin and that she didn't have a playing card, and you have to have a playing card to get in. And so she said, oh, to the lady, you'll need to give us playing cards. We've never been here. And so the lady got her name, gave her a playing card, and she looked and said to her husband, I'm sorry, she looked at the lady and said, would you like to know the last time your husband's been here? And she said, no, I don't want to know that. And so, excuse me, she mentioned a couple months later, she had a nice house. She had teenagers in high school, that she got evicted from her home. She had no idea that her husband had spent everything in the casino. And she even said, I had no idea. I never went through the bills. I never even thought about where he was all the time. I just assumed he was at work. And she talked about how devastating it was. They had about an hour to get their possessions that they wanted, her and her kids, because everything was being moved out of their house. So there's two things that I think, or I should say there's one questionnaire with two questions that I think is the best. Excuse me. Number one, have you ever had to lie to people that are important to you about how much you gamble? If you start lying about how much you're gambling, that means you know deep down inside that's not something you want to talk about. And number two, have you ever felt the need to bet more and more money? So this is called the lie bet questionnaire. Of course, online you can find the 20 questions, but it basically goes down to lying and needing more and more. So if you responded yes to one of these, further assessment is needed. And we actually do free assessments. We could do it over the phone screening. You just call us up and just say, we just want to do a gambling screening. A lot of times I'm sitting in different festivals and we do gambling screenings just so that people can kind of see where they're at. So there is help. There is help for addiction, and we can help you. And we're in ABC, and we're over in the Century Plaza in West Dundee. I'm not sure if there's any questions, but you can find us. Please call us. Our phone number is listed. Is there any questions maybe in the chat box?